Hello friends, and welcome back to the garden. Today's part one of a two-part I'm going to do on winter chop and drop. Um, we just had another freeze event. Today is New Year's Day 2026, and we just had another event where it froze 2 mornings in a row. The last time this happened was back on November 11th and 12th, or 10th and 11th, right around November 11th. It froze the leaves off these Mexican sunflowers, but it didn't freeze the stems. So leaves grew right back. Well, this time it pretty much froze both the leaves and the stems. So now we have this sort of little standing small forest of frozen burnt Mexican sunflowers. This is all going to become mulch. I'm going to do chop and drop on all this material. Our young food forest here is not even a year old yet. I guess I started planting in March of last year, so we're still about 3 months shy of its 1-year anniversary. So I don't have enough mulch yet, not even close. Well, I've got a lot of it available now with this freezing event. So like I said, this is part one of a two-part. I'm just going to go around now and sort of show all the material that I plan to chop and drop. And it's not just Mexican sunflowers. Here's some of the tropical leafy greens. And I really don't have to do much with this. It froze. It did not freeze the roots. So just like on the Mexican sunflowers, it did not freeze the roots. So all of this is going to grow back. In fact, if you look really close on this Okinawa spinach, you can see that down beneath it did fine. There's stuff down in here that's green and fine. It was actually protected by the stuff above it that froze and burnt. And this is longevity spinach. It looks like it got hit a little bit harder by the freeze, but even it has some green stuff down low. The thing is, we'll probably have colder weather before this winter is finished than either one of these two freeze events we just had. But anyway, no, with this stuff here, I won't really chop and drop it. I'm just going to leave it as is and just let it sink down to the ground and provide really nice mulch right where it's at. These bananas, you can see I cut them last time it froze, and now the new growth is already frozen again. Cassava got hit. This freeze seemed to be harder than the one back in November, and the cassava got hit pretty hard this time, worse than last time for sure. This little moringa actually recovered and grew after that last freeze, but it got hit harder. I'm really beginning to see that where I'm at here in southern Marion County, right in the middle of Zone 9. You know, we're right between Zone A, 9A and 9B. I'm really seeing that about the only thing I'm going to do with most tropical plants is just use them for soil building, like I'm doing with the Mexican sunflowers. I just think we're too cold to reliably get food production out of tropical plants here. Now, I say that with a caveat. I did a video on cold tolerant tropical plants, and that included things like avocado, the cold tolerant cultivars of the avocados, like the Brogdon there and the Mexicola over here. And you know, we've got a few others like the white sapote and the Suriname cherry of the Rio Grande, pineapple guava. I think I'll be able to get food out of all of those, but they're much more cold tolerant than many other tropical species. But anyway, getting back to the subject, like for example, the chaya, it took a pretty good hit. It didn't kill the roots. It'll grow back in the spring. But this chaya here, I don't know. I'll check. I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to cut this off at ground level now or maybe not. Maybe just kind of cut off about the top half of it. I'll have to monitor it over the next few days and see what happens. But all of these chias got hit pretty hard by this freeze. I'm gonna get a lot of mulch material out of that. This African blue basil, they really are not cold tolerant at all. But they're small enough, I'll probably just sort of chop them and drop them right where they're at. Just put them on the ground, get the mulch on the ground there. I'm gonna be doing some things in here. I have decided to close this porch in with walls and windows instead of just a screen like it is. And I'm gonna be putting actually that door right there. So I've got a elephant ear plant there that's in the way and a pineapple plant that's in the way because we're gonna be walking out right there and coming out here to the path. So I've got more material there I'll be able to use for mulch. Also this firebush, this is not the native Florida firebush. This is the firebush that's being sold under the same name, common name, firebush, but it's not the same species. And it's said to be invasive. So actually I'm gonna take that out. It's right there where the door and the pathway is gonna be. So I'm gonna take that out. I'll use that for mulch. Also, I've decided that this Mexican sunflower right in the middle of my intersection of my pathways here, it's gotta go. It's just in the wrong space. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up my pathways, bring them in, and so I don't have such a big wide area that's really unproductive, all just to support me being able to walk around this one Mexican sunflower. So here we are, we're not even 1 year old with this food forest, and I'm already deciding to eliminate a Mexican sunflower. I mean, I could transplant it towards the back, but I'm beginning to run out of space for Mexican sunflowers. I've got to get a lot of my pomegranates planted back there. And so, but anyway, this whole thing's gonna come out and I'm gonna need mulch, a lot of mulch in this area, where after I tighten up the pathways, I'm gonna need to put mulch on the sides of the path. Plenty of mulch around here for me to get. Here's another tropical species that got hit hard by the freeze. This is the green version of the cranberry hibiscus. That's a very short-lived perennial shrub anyway. I'll chop it off at ground level, use it for mulch. It may try to grow back some. Almost all of these are probably going to try to grow back, but we'll see what happens with them. Whether or not I actually try to keep growing them or just go ahead and phase them on out. The Brazilian spinach, it hit pretty good by the freeze, but it's also okay. And there's some more of that Okinawa spinach over there that's burned on top, but it's pretty green and okay down below. The papaya, the top was the only part that survived the November freeze. This time it got burnt pretty good. So I'm thinking this papaya is gonna have to go ahead and go. I'll use the tree trunk as a liner for my pathways, like I've been doing with these other logs and branches. So I've got my work cut out for me here. I've got a lot of mulch. I need a lot of mulch, and I've got some work to do. So here it is. We're in January now, and there's work to do in the winter garden. My thinking on these Mexican sunflowers is they'll be cut off at ground level. By the way, there's a few I could show you that I have here that were sort of underneath trees where they were protected, and they didn't freeze like these, but those were generally smaller ones. I'll just let them grow and leave them alone. But they'll probably get frozen before the winter's over. Anyway, with these I'll cut them off at ground level, and then they may try to grow back some because of our such mild winters that we have here. But then they'll get frozen again, and there'll be that back and forth until spring. Once we get past the last frost or freezing period, then they'll grow like crazy. So I'm anticipating these will all grow up really big, and I may just let them grow until about June. We'll see. If they're big enough and I need the mulch, I always need mulch at the end of March to get ready for April and May. And if they're big enough that I could go ahead and you know, cut them back, and then they'll grow back strong enough, because I want them to be big by June. I want to have a lot of mulch to lay down in June. And besides that, for the last part of April and for the month of May, the taller and the bigger they get, the more they cast shade, and that shade is valuable to me during that hot, dry period of April and May. So I'll have to wait and see, but I may let these Mexican sunflowers grow until next June 1st and then cut them again, use them for mulch again. Or if I can get another cutting out of them sometime around March, and plus get a good one again in June, I may do that. We'll see what they do. If we look on back here to the rest of the garden, it's, other than the Mexican sunflowers, it's pretty much all temperate species, so I don't have that much freeze damage. There's a small Mexican sunflower that did freeze back here. Again, like I said, all of these will, none of these died. All of them have good roots and they will spring right back to life. Now here's a sort of a temperate species that did freeze, figs, and that's normal for figs. So that's okay. It's good that the figs finally got the signal they need, you know, to go dormant. I'm not even sure it was a strong enough signal. Like this one still got some good leaves. But this is an area around the figs that I do want to mulch some more. There's starting to be some grass starting to fill in this area that I mulched pretty heavily last year. Grass and other weeds that are starting to grow in here. And so I want to mulch that pretty good, cover that grass up. I mean, I need mulch everywhere. It's easier to count the places I don't need mulch. It's a shorter list. Like these thornless blackberries, I think I've got that mulched pretty good. There's my dog enjoying the beautiful sun this afternoon. These blackberries have plenty of mulch. And then as we get closer to my house, I've got a pretty good bit of mulch, but I still need a lot of mulch in a lot of places. So that's what I'll be going to with part 2 of this video. I'm sure it'll be a few days before I get to that, because I've got a lot of work to do here. Chopping and dropping all this stuff. But just wanted to show quickly over here, this whole area over here, I've started getting some blueberries in here. This is the richest soil I have on the property in general, right in here, because it's the lowest spot. There's a lot of water that comes down off the roof line up there and flows out into this area. It makes this relatively low, moist area, which also gets the benefit of the leaf drop from all these big trees right here behind me. But it makes this whole area right in here pretty rich, fertile soil, excellent for growing blueberries. So I have things in here like the Japanese persimmons, and then there's even a couple of elderberries right there. And I've got other things in here like wax myrtles. But eventually I'll be taking out all of these Mexican sunflowers in here and putting blueberries in their place. So I want to go ahead and start mulching all of this ground in here that's covered with grass and weeds. I want to get that mulched really good to get it prepared for the blueberries that I'm going to plant in here. So plenty of work to do, never enough mulch, but now we have a good bit of mulch. So the thing about the Mexican sunflower is they're notorious for sprouting. You cut these off and lay them on the ground, and then next thing you know, a brand new plant's climbing right up from that spot, and roots are going right down into the ground. But if you let them go ahead and freeze like this, and the freeze we had back in November, the stems didn't freeze. The leaves froze, but the stems were bright green, and literally within 2 days, they were already had green buds popping on them, and new leaves were popping out. This time, these stems, they got hit pretty hard. See, that's a dead stem. You can just tell by how limp it is. That's a dead stem there. And that's not gonna grow back any new growth. So now's a good time to use Mexican sunflower for chop and drop. It's a real good time to use it because you don't have to worry about putting stuff under it. Next June or possibly March, when I do my next Mexican sunflower chop and drop mulching session, well, that time of year, those cuttings will want to try to sprout and grow. So what I'll do is, by then these Fakahatchee grass, they'll be much bigger. I'm going to leave them alone for now, let them grow. And by next June, they'll be much bigger, and they'll provide a whole bunch of material that I can use as a layer to go on the ground underneath the Mexican sunflower. There's some more. And that'll help, that provides a barrier that'll help prevent the Mexican sunflower from sprouting. So that's just a little bit on this for part one anyway. After I do all this work and get all this mulch laid down, I'll follow up with part two. So until then, everybody, I'll take care and happy gardening.